welcome back. Today we have Winette with Outright Immigration Services, and we have a special guest. I'm going to bring them in. Let me invite them in. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the stage.
Hello. Well, good
Hi,
morning.
Winette. Good morning. Hi, Dr. Jackeline. So, every month we have Winette Rosier. She is an immigration consultant and specialist, and she has been sharing for the past couple of months. She's been sharing some beautiful um, tips, tricks about immigration, just basic education. And I just wanted to introduce her, and then she would introduce Dr. Jacqueline. Welcome, Winette.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm very happy to be here with everyone today. And as usual, we always have our conversation. But today we have a special guest, and it's Dr. Jackeline Biddle Richard. And she is a nurse as well as an attorney. She's an immigration attorney. So she's been doing wonderful work with the community. And today we're going to talk a little about it. Hi, Dr. Jacqueline. How are you?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Morning. Welcome to the show. Now, this is going to be a really juicy conversation combination because you both form the root of our Nurses in Charge, our legal department that helps nurses, sustainably migrate to the United States. And you have been working to not just help them with their paperwork, but help them in a holistic way. Now, I know you have a lot to say. When that, I know we've been talking a lot about the difference between a nurse. I'm sorry, like I'm talking about nurse. The difference between an attorney and an immigration consultant. So maybe we could hear a little bit about Dr. Jacqueline of how she actually helps with the immigration process. Dr. Jacqueline, how does that process work?
Sure. I think, well, first of all, I think as an attorney, and there's room for the attorney and a consultant to work together and really play off of each other's strengths and what we can do under immigration law, right? So I like that idea, number one. As an attorney, I am licensed to be able to really help people do everything from consulting with them, helping them create a strategy, which is what I do, helping them create a plan based on their situation, and also handling any court issues, right? Handling, actually being able to represent them in court before an immigration judge, and that might be one of the major differences. Because the other, a lot of the other stuff we kind of share in common, I think.
Yes.
And Winette could probably, speak more to that. But yeah, I think the major difference is my ability to be able to represent someone in court and for that kind of thing. And just to tell you a little bit about my background in terms of what I bring to immigration, I've been an attorney for over 20 years. I practiced many years, about 15 years, as a personal injury and criminal attorney, criminal defense representation. So and even as a personal injury, I was really on the prosecution side, which means I was usually representing the people that were suing because of, injury. So I've always been in this position of really representing people, right? And representing the people's interests. So I bring that to what I do now, my work in immigration, and in particular, my work with nurses and the whole nursing migration, and really having an impact in that area.
That's so excellent. And I'm going to get into the nursing because that's really, really juicy. But I just wanted, when that, do you mind jumping in and just explaining what, like, how do you care for your clients right now as an immigration consultant, and how that works with what Dr. Jackeline is doing?
Okay, yes, I'll be glad to share that. Basically, as an immigration consultant, we can provide consultation, general advice, as long as they are non-legal advice. We help client understand their option and gather their necessary documents, as well as preparing their immigration documents, and we handle a lot of the processes. We manage the client communication, follow up, ensure that client is informed throughout the process. And when it comes to the difference that an immigration consultant, between an immigration consultant and an attorney, is that the attorney can provide legal advice, and they can always review the document, making sure that there's no errors, and then as well as they can defend or represent them in court. As an immigration consultant, we're limited when it comes to complex immigration cases, including the deportation or removal proceedings. We do not assist with that. When it comes to asylum, we can go and fill out an application for the affirmative asylum, but when it comes to defensive one, we will not touch. It's a no-no. Any
Right.
appeals is handled by the attorney. So basically, we let's just say we complement each other, and there are things that we handle that the attorney handles from A to Z, and then we do from A maybe to H, And when we work together, it helps because the attorney doesn't have to do from A to H. They can take it from H to Z, and then it makes it easier and less work.
That's absolutely amazing. And when that you have that big beautiful sign on the back of you, and
Um,
it says Rosier. So I know
yes,
Rosier is another business that you do, that
yes,
you actually help immigrants with not only the immigration part, but just everything in life. Would you like
yes.
to share a little bit about that?
Yes, I started with the immigration process of it, but then after they get their document, what else? So I started thinking about it every time they'll come back to me, oh, what else? And then I'll be like, okay, well, I'm done. My work is done. Then I figured, how about I help them with the next step? And then one of the things is that once they get their work permit, they need to find a job. They need a resume. They need to know what are the steps that they need to take to be able to find a job, where to apply, staffing agencies. So I started working with them and preparing their resume, help them apply for jobs, as well as look for apartments, help them with their credit so they could build their credit, so they'll be able to purchase vehicles if they need that, and health insurance. And I'm a health insurance agent as well because of them. I had to do it because of them, because I wanted to help a life insurance agent. So that way I wanted to be the one-stop shop. Once they come here, a lot of the foreigners, they had businesses at home and they come here and they start working, and they decided they wanted to start a business, but they didn't know how to start it, where to go, what they need to do. As I started my own business and did all the documents for my business, everything from A to Z for my nonprofit as well as for my for-profit. So I started assisting them with that, in registering their business and helping them their EIN number and everything else. So I didn't see just the most important thing to me is to make sure that they're illegal, because then they can enjoy the other options that are available to them, and then I'm able to assist, with that as well. Sometimes they call me for things that I don't know about, and I'm like, okay, let me find out who I can get in the line for you, so
Yes.
this is I've been enjoying it. This is my passion. So
And when I know you personally, you are all over Florida. You will go above and beyond to help immigrants not just come to the country, but actually settle down and make it home. And
yes.
this is so important because Dr. Biddle Richards, she is actually a nurse, and she is. She's not just a nurse by profession, but she has the heart of a nurse. And
Yes.
she wants, when she's working with these nurses, especially as they're coming to help our shortage, she wants to make sure that she is working in a place where they can get that holistic, real care. So I wanted to talk about what you do before I actually start interacting with Dr. Biddle Richards, because she has the most phenomenal combination of experience. And I just want to, Dr. Jackeline, would you mind sharing some of your experience, your nursing expertise?
Sure, sure. Well, my nursing background is actually in intensive care. I worked in the intensive care unit for many, many years, over 20 something years before I started working in the higher education area. So I became an assistant professor, even a dean of nursing at one point, associate dean, not associate professor, associate dean of nursing. So I've worked in the nursing education for well over 10 years, and really working in ICU. But one of the things, when I practiced law, in particular in New Jersey, I actually also represented nurses before the Board of Nursing. So I have a really keen knowledge about what nurses need from abroad that want to come here, what types of services they need, what do they need to do, and to do it right the first time, to get the right information the first time, because coming in as an immigrant, there's a lot to do with the type of visas to get here. And uh, the good thing about nurses and being a nurse is that you have a lot of different options. You have several options that you can entertain in terms of getting a visa to come here and the way to come here. But when it comes to nursing, to the actual nursing piece, the licensing, what do you need to do? You have to take the NCLEX. You have to, your documents all have to be translated. You have to, your credentials have to be checked, and just doing all of that. For me, I can say that as a nurse, I bring that credibility. And like I said, I always did represent nurses, even if it was in a different realm. It was really for licensure issues. So again, I'm very, keen in that area. That's something I did, and it was really a passion. It wasn't part of my a larger scope of practice when I practiced mostly personal injury and criminal law, but it was something that I did. And there are a lot of nurse attorneys out there. It's not just me. There's actually an organization of nurse attorneys, believe it or not. And so one of the things that we share in common is, no matter what it is that we're doing as a lawyer, we share in common that we represent nurses, we help nurses in a variety of ways. So for me, in this immigration space, it's really important for me, to keep that going. And there's not a lot of, I don't know of any other, I know of a lot of other nurse attorneys. I don't know of any nurse attorneys who are also immigration attorneys. They usually are doing more things related to health and all of that, and that's awesome. But I don't see any nurses really in immigration law. So that's another, another aspect.
Yes, and if they do exist and they're looking at this, please, I'm sure Dr. Jackeline Biddle Richards would love to meet you. I'm sure it would be a wonderful combination because you lovely, valuable, talented women, you are coming together, and under nurses in charge, you're actually looking not just at the migration of nurses, but the sustainability of the profession internationally. So, nurses in charge is actually going to be well positioned to work with colleges, universities, hospital systems, and even departments. Different countries, the different ministries of health and ministries of education in different countries, because 2030, the World Health Organization, they actually have in their plans to have a sustainable workforce for healthcare workers. And we know a lot of healthcare workers, they want to migrate, but we have to make sure that also we are not just supporting the ones coming, but we're also adding to the ones who are back home. So you have this beautiful holistic position. I am just so honored to be in both of your presence. You are so talented, not just by what you know, but I think Winette, you speak three, four, like how many
Or,
four
or
languages? And Dr. Jackeline, you speak how many
I,
languages?
I speak two, English and Spanish. I'm
That's
originally from Puerto Rico, but that's
amazing.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's important. I think, in terms of cultural, inclusion and understanding, speaking another language is certainly a start. And in immigration is, it's super important. And just to have that cultural piece, that's one of the things I really love about doing immigration, really bringing in that cultural perspective and respect, right? Because that's what
yes,
you're doing when you're speaking in someone's language, that makes it easier for them.
it does.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And there's actually a special visa. I think it's called a TN. I'm not a specialist. You guys
The
are.
the STEM, STEM.
The visa that allows
That's the TN.
Mexican.
That's the TN. Yeah, to
Oh, the
to
TN. Yeah.
Mexico. Yeah, so that they can come and work here,
Okay.
and yeah, and it's very hard. One of the things that I often hear, and especially being here at the border, I do hear about issues, because I thought about that too. Why aren't more nurses taking advantage of the TN visa? It's harder for them when they come from Mexico than when they come
Mhm.
from Canada for some reason.
Oh.
um so yeah, so even here it's really difficult. You would think, I mean, I'm actually at the border, right? So you would think, and we do have that kind of camaraderie with Juarez across the border, where people, I mean, some people live there and work here, some people live here and work there, believe it or not. And so we do have that kind of system where we
Mhm.
can go back and forth. But for nursing, it's a little bit more difficult. And I think part of the difficulty, in addition to some of the immigration law difficulty, is also the piece with nursing, with what they need to become a nurse here. Because, for example, they need to have that NCLEX exam and the licensure, and that's done in English, right? So,
Mhm.
their language proficiency has to be such that they're able to pass that exam. So that's, it is an issue. It's an issue that I see here at the border. So yes, while there are these mechanisms in terms of visas that certain
Mhm.
people could take advantage of, what happens is that in addition to that, if you're a nurse, I think it's even easier for a medical person to come here and continue to be, in their career than it is for nursing. But they might also have issues too. I can't really speak for doctors and others, physicians, I mean, and others in that area. But for nurses, I know for sure that it is an impediment often to try to deal with the NCLEX.
That's really
Mm.
good insight. And then also, in addition to our nurses coming from Mexico, Winette was telling me about Haiti. They have a new TPS system. Winette, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Was it TPS?
Yes, it's CPS.
Yes, it's not a system, but that's all right. That's all you throwing in the. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're one of the countries that are allowed with TPS, but I don't think it's new. I think it's for the people. I think the extension is for
The
the people who
extension.
are here, and that's challenging, right? Because you do
Mhm.
hear about these programs, and you think, oh my gosh, I could help, these people. Now, oftentimes it's an extension of an existing program. So TPS is a kind of program that by law it can be afforded to different countries over because of different conditions that are going on in their countries, and it changes from time to time. There's always, countries that are applying to try to be in it. There's countries that are already in it. It could change. Countries could be part of that TPS, then all of a sudden they're not.
Yes.
And then there are countries that are part of it. And if people are already here protected under TPS, temporary protection status, then they can actually, if they have an extension, they can stay, right? They can apply and they can stay a little longer, but it doesn't help somebody who's still in that country. But I think Haiti still it has some kind of humanitarian
Yes.
protection where they can still come in addition to that. So yeah, but that's one of the challenges that I'm finding with the TPS, where I'm thinking, oh my God, this is awesome. And then it's like, oh, it's only an extension, right? It's only
Yes.
an extension, so it doesn't help. So it helps sometimes, and it doesn't. And yes, Haiti, I think. Venezuela, I think they have an extension, but I think Venezuela is part of the new one of the new humanitarian paroles that they could come in. So there's other ways other than TPS than people for humanitarian reasons can come in and be paroled, meaning be allowed to come in
Mhm.
the U.S. and stay in the U.S. while they're trying to figure out, their status and whether or not they can stay permanently, and that kind of thing. So there are the again, I'm thinking about nurses right now. With nursing is that, unfortunately, oftentimes what I've seen, and I've also done a good number of volunteering and stuff, seeing what goes on at the border. Those are not usually the folks that I see coming in, like in terms of migration through the border for humanitarian purposes. I don't really see like a lot of nurses. It could be that nurses are, also eligible, right? Because if they're in situations where they meet they're eligible for asylum, for example, right? But for some reason, I don't see that. So honestly, nurses in charge could actually, that could be like something to educate, right? Nurses from other places that may want to come, and they might be eligible, as a refugee or as an asylee. So certainly that information needs to get out there, because that's not what I see. That's all that I'm saying. I don't, not, that I've seen everything, but so far that's not what I see. And I don't know if your experience, Winette, is different.
Um, well, with in from my area, it's mostly anyone is eligible for asylum if you have, you know, the
If you
the
meet the
qualification,
criteria.
or exactly. And then as well as for TPS, if you are a national of these designated country, then you can easily apply for it, and then you will obtain it. Of course, sometimes there may be some, there are qualifications, which means that you may get denied. Very few times I've seen people get denied, and it's usually for legal matter, criminal, or mostly something like that.
If they have
But yeah,
a record and or something like
exactly,
then, because the
sometimes.
bottom line is it's the US, what the US is mostly concerned about, even though that's not what we kind of see on TV, is really national security, right?
Exactly.
That's what is at the base of all immigration stuff, is that they want to make sure ultimately that whoever comes here is someone that isn't going to make the country unsafe or do something, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so national security is always at that's at the bottom of it. So unless one of the ways in which you can be denied is because maybe you belong, you come from a country where there is a lot of like corruption,
Mhm.
and the police is involved and the government is involved, and you actually worked for that government and
Yes.
did like some horrible things and killed people, and now you're trying to kind of like leave and come in and kind of on the DL. Well, if that comes to light, and it can come to light because there's a lot of ways in which they check internationally,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
the background of folks. But what I'd like to see, though, and I think the question is a good question, Kasey, because I would love to be able to get this information out to people that even if they're, in particular, if they're nurses, right,
Mhm.
to seek out those kind of humanitarian
Yes.
benefits, but seek them out, but also have the support, right, of nurses in charge, right?
Yes.
Have the support of Winette to be able to do the and after, right? The aftercare,
Yes.
as we say in nursing, right? That's what you're doing with that, is the
Yes.
aftercare, right? Which is really necessary.
It
So
is.
that whole
Thank you.
idea of actually being able to have that education prior, being able to guide them to maybe some of the best ways for them, and if humanitarian ways is if they can meet the criteria for a humanitarian relief,
Yes.
that's really awesome, because also when you meet the criteria for the humanitarian relief, such as asylum, such as TPS, such as, if you're already here, you could even benefit from the VAWA, right? And that's
Yes.
for anybody, that is in a relationship with a U.S. citizen, and the U.S. citizen and I'd say his, I'm assuming, it could be
Yeah.
is really abusing them,
Mhm.
right? They can actually file for a VAWA.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a lot of different ways, and if I can get that information out to nurses,
Yes.
to nurses who are abroad, nurses who are here. I mean, imagine a nurse being here and being able to get the help and support from nurses in charge, right? And
Mm.
I had friends, right, that would call me from time to time, nurse friends who were immigrants, right, and call me and ask me, listen, my visa's expiring, what do I'm like, I don't know what to do. you know I, if you call me, if you fall and if you get hurt, I can help you. But so this is why for me, getting in this area of immigration it's really broadened my whole experience as a person, as an attorney, but as a nurse, right? And I'm just really happy and so glad to meet you, Winette, and I
Same,
really
same. It's a pleasure.
and I know we can definitely work together to kind of cut down on the alphabet, right?
Yes, yes.
I need somebody
Most
to run this thing.
definitely.
I want to start at H, right?
Yes.
This is this is absolutely beautiful, and I know you ladies are going to do so phenomenal. And I just wanted to speak with why you both, as heads of the legal department of nurses in charge, I just want to speak as far as why your immigration is it comes not as competition for other recruitment agencies or other lawyers, but your experience, you've both moved from different countries. You know what it is like personally. You know what that process is like. And you're here and you're looking at sustainability of a profession that helps so many Americans. And I'm so grateful that you guys are coming together, and you're coming together with beautiful people who have, and we talked in the meeting, who've dealt with human trafficking, nurses who have been international career coaches and have programs to holistically help our nurses as they come, and our nurses back home, because some of these countries, they want to come, but their countries are short of nurses, and then they may be short of education. So nurses in charge, we're here to help not just those coming, but those back home as well. So maybe I'm hoping some agencies, as they're looking at this video recording, they would collaborate with nurses in charge, and they will allow you both to come in and see how could we help those that are here, and how could we help those that are not here, really live better lives. So I thank you so much. I usually ask Winette, so I will ask you both. If anybody is looking at this recording and they have to take one point away, would you like to share something with them? Is there one thing that you would like to share with them? Winette, should we have Dr. Jackeline go first?
Yes.
Okay. She gets
I
to
was
wait
gonna
today.
say let me neck her
She gets
first.
to wait today. So,
Um,
so
I I think number one is that it is possible, right? When it comes to immigration, when it comes um, to to being here, to getting here, and to doing well, it is possible if you know where the resources are, if you know who are your allies. So I think that's one of the things that I would say.
Um, I would say that from experience and with all the people that I've worked, when you the big thing is for us is to touch the soil. So when we come to the United States, so the doors are open. Don't stay stuck where you at. If you can come to us and look for assistance, we'll be waiting for you with arms open to be able to help you and guide you through. I know a lot of people, they'll come and then they're stuck some way. 1 year goes through, 2 years goes by, and then they don't do anything. They don't try to get their papers in order or search for legal status because they don't know what to do. We're here, Dr. Jackeline and I, we're offering our services to be able to assist you. Come to us. Even if someone brought you to the United States, their job is done. The rest is yours. And we're here to help you handle the rest. So I think, hi, Kasey. You left us.
I was having a hard time adding myself back, but that was powerful. That was so beautiful. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you serving the world in the way that you are showing up. And I just only foresee amazing collaborations and connections for you. If anyone is looking at this in the future, maybe they're looking at a recording, maybe they're watching it live, and you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I will make sure that your questions get back to Dr. Jackeline Biddle Richard and Winette so that you can definitely have the support that you need. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank